Hi, everyone. Welcome to Soul Therapy. Kristen here. I'm really excited today. Today, I have for you my first near death experiencer interview. My first guest today is Susan Redwine. She is a near death experiencer from Florida in the United States, and her energy is just absolutely amazing. I like to think of this more as a conversation because her and I just vibed so well, and she really was able to bring me in and, in essence, will be able to bring you into this conversation in a really deep and incredible way. Susan is able to really use her emotions and the details of her experience to make you feel like you are understanding where she went as best as we can. Unfortunately, the video does get cut off in the end. We had some technical difficulties, but stay tuned till the end and I will give you some news. So here's my interview with Susan Redwine. I hope you enjoy. Welcome, Susan. Thanks for joining us and allowing me to interview you about this very personal time in your life.
Hi, Kristen.
Hi. So, just for the audience, I want you guys to know how Susan and I met. I was on Facebook one day and just on my timeline, minding my own business, when I believe the universe reached out and through a posting on my wall from a group called Near Death Experiencers, and it really brought me back to something I had forgotten about, which was 9 years ago when my mother passed away. I had some experiences with her in spirit form that I didn't understand. And so I went looking for some answers, and I bumped into a YouTube video by a near death experiencer, and the things that she had to say about her experience on the other side completely changed my life into the direction that it is in today. And I was reminded of that when I saw this posting and decided to do these interviews. Susan was the first person to reach out to me, and we have had a chance to talk a couple of times, and she's just an amazing light being. Her soul just shines. You'll see in this interview what an amazing person she is, and how easy it is for us to connect with each other. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to her. She is a seasonal remote chef who spends her time off writing about her near-death experience, with the hopes that by sharing her experience, she's able to help others rise above themselves and make their moments here on earth sacred. Susan wants you to know that right here, right now, you are writing your story in each moment of your life. Make the most of it and forgive everyone. She devotes her Facebook page and social media to freelance for the universe, helping others flip the script or think differently. She is both learning and teaching by integrating her near-death experience into her own life. You can follow her on Facebook at Susan Redwine. Susan is in the process of writing a book about her near-death experience, which she is sharing on her Facebook page as she writes it. So you can check it out there by following her. All right, Susan, I think we can get right into it. And I just would love to know from you, what was your life like prior to your near-death experience? And I would love to focus more on what your spiritual practices were prior to your near-death experience.
Um, as a child, I grew up in a Catholic family, and we practiced Catholicism 5 days a week. It was strict, and personally, I didn't buy any of it. And I felt like I was in a family that I didn't understand, because this was so much a part of their life, but none of it rang true for me. After being in a Catholic family that was following the Bible so reverently, I didn't understand where the love was, because there was no love in our family. It was strict. It was angry. It was full of fright and trauma every day. I was walking in a war zone. And I was a child, and I had to learn how to sense where the danger was every moment of my life. And that was my family. So I didn't know anything but that. So it sounded very hypocritical to me that you were doing all these church things and then beating the children, so to speak. But as I went into adulthood, I suppressed all of it. And all I wanted to do was escape. I worked 3 jobs before leaving, just to not be in the atmosphere of what I had to, I had to be there until I graduated high school. And once I did, I was gone the next week. So I ran away from everything, and I started running away when I was 3 years old.
Wow.
So I knew how to run away. And I ran away from all of my problems and just started, traveling wherever I could to be away from what had happened to me that I did not acknowledge. So I was able to suppress that until I was in my 30s. And something happened within my family system, and they wanted me to lie so that they could adopt my niece. And I told the state board, no, do not let them adopt her.
Good for you.
And I told them why, and I told them everything. And then I wanted to die. Because I knew if I faced any of it head on, that something would happen to me. Because I had been suppressing for way too long. After that, my parents sent me a letter that they were disowning me.
How old are you at this moment?
32.
Okay.
My 30s, right around there. Now, so I planned a trip, my last trip, with my children and my family to have some happy moments with them because I wasn't having any. And I decided to take them to Franklin, North Carolina. And that's where I am today.
Oh.
Do you see the reason why I came back?
Right. Yeah.
Because I knew I would be sharing this now. And I was getting many signs from spirit and from the other world, from an Indian woman during that trip.
Wow.
She handed me a stone, and she put her hand over my hand, and she said, one day you're going to have to choose between the oceans and the mountains.
Oh, wow.
And this is the day. This time has come, because right now I have to choose between the mountains and the ocean.
You're in Florida normally, right?
I grew up and lived in Florida for 57 years. That I haven't been back.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, I'm not sure that we mentioned you're in the Smoky Mountains right now in North Carolina.
Smoky Mountains in North Carolina. And also I wanted to thank you, Kristen, for giving me this opportunity and for meeting you the way that I did. I was like dead on sure. This is the girl that I need to be working with. When I met you, I was like, oh my God, look at all this crazy stuff that's happening.
The synchronicities, they're really amazing. Just a little touch on that, Susan was telling me that she has been approached to talk about this topic many times, and she just didn't feel that it was right. And then I didn't even actually approach you. I just put it out there. It was some freakish idea that I didn't even put any thought into. And you were like, that's the one. Right?
That's the girl. But you know what I thought? I thought you wanted to give me a regression, and I was like, I'll take that. This is what I wanted to say, was that morning, okay, and this is how spirit works to me and in my life is full of miracles every day. Let me tell you.
Mhm.
Everyone does. They just don't see them.
Right.
So that morning I woke up and I'm doing my meditation and, speaking to spirit. What do I need to learn today? And it was Martin Luther King's birthday. And I read this thing by Martin Luther King that spoke to me. And it was the call I heard throughout the universe to come here. And he said, use me for the higher good. So that morning I was like, he inspired me and I said it to the universe. I said, use me. And I meant it. I was making a declaration. It was a declaration. And then you did that. And I was like,
That
what?
same day I made the post.
Video.
When you're paying attention, that's how it works. Most of the time we don't pay attention. So those opportunities get missed, but that was so obvious.
Oh my gosh, that one was so obvious to me. And I was like, holy shit. Anyways, to get to that point, so I planned a trip to North Carolina where I am today, reliving and going over and letting all the past go so that I can step into my full soul purpose of serving and using.
Was this
and
after your near-death experience?
This was now. But during, right now. So that's why I'm back here in North Carolina I knew I was going to be, let's put it that way. At some point in my life, I knew I would be coming back here. So I brought my kids here to have a last vacation, and I was planning my suicide. And it had finally brought me peace. Just making a choice that I couldn't do it. I was surrendering.
Right.
Surrendering and acknowledging that, okay, I went off track. I'm not doing this right. I can't do it. And I'm ready to quit and give up because I don't see it. I don't see me being effective in any way, shape, or form. So I took my kids to North Carolina before and this is where I had my near-death experience
In North Carolina. Here, there. Oh.
Yes,
Wow.
yes. So this is very poignant, the
Yeah.
whole point of me being here. Before I left, before I left, my last thought in my body was, I give up and I quit. And I'm surrendering to a higher power because I cannot ever put my children through this anymore. My last thought was of my children before I left. So my spirit left my body and it rose above. I didn't see my body. I just rose all the way up into this void. And my first thought, and before I even had a chance to get it out of my brain because there was no mouth, it's just spirit, telepathically, I was saying to myself, is everyone going to be okay? And this big, booming, resonant voice came over the loudspeaker, so to speak. People call it God because it was a man's voice. It was in a man's voice, but it felt like all voices. It didn't feel like one. And it was, everything is as it should be. And as soon as I heard that, it turned my key to remembrance of being in spirit form. And I started transitioning and transforming. I saw my body for a second. I was leaving it behind and I could care less. I was free. I had no attachment to it. I didn't care what it looked like. I cared nothing because all of a sudden I'm in spirit world and I was like, oh my God, you're right. Everything is as it should be. And I started to remember and becoming overjoyed with, there's no word for it. I tried to explain this to other people, but it's beyond peace. It's a knowing. You go into a knowing state of mind, and everything you were before starts coming back to you, but you don't even know what's happening because it's happening so fast. And I started rising, and all of a sudden, boom, I shot home. I was being pulled through the universe. Like through, that's why I say an umbilical cord. My umbilical cord was bringing me back to my divine self.
Like being rebirthed?
Yeah, well, yes, it's just like that. You are being rebirthed, in a sense. So my Susan me is going, oh my God, I saw galaxies, I saw planets, I saw universal systems, and I was shooting through them going, holy cow, what's going on? Because I really had no idea. It just all started happening. And then boom, I arrived at home and I knew it. I was like, oh my God, I'm home. And I was greeted by a saint, but I didn't know he was a saint at that time. He kept shielding his energy from me. I couldn't see a face. He had on a purple tunic that was burlap. And I knew that I'm in spirit form, but I'm still seeing everything normally. Like you would see clothing, but I could see that they were transforming, but all of this is happening at once. So you have to understand, I'm just like, oh my God, who are you? Where am I? And I knew I was home, but I'm still in the remembering process. And I had just left the earth because I quit. So,
You could still recall that?
oh, I knew everything. I could see everything it's like I was right now observing what happened to me then. I'm observing what happened to another part of me then, right now. And I was taken into a cave-like chamber, and there were 12 healers surrounding me. And they laid my spirit form on a table, and which none of that made sense to me. You know what I mean? I was like, wait, I'm spirit form, but I still had a body. And I was laid on a table, and the healers went around me and started what I call shooting love into me. And what they were doing was revamping and revitalizing my energy of quitting the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And there was 12 of them, and all of them were clothed in very dark, I would say dark purple cloaks, but I couldn't see their faces. And I found out later the reason why is because they wanted me to focus on what was happening to me, not them. All right, but it was important that there were 12.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So the Merkaba is 13 is what I found out later on. I had no idea. I haven't read anything. I don't know any Bible scriptures. I know nothing. So they're standing around me, refusing me, and all of a sudden, as my energy and my love energy, unconditional love energy is pouring into me, divine, holy energy pouring into my spirit, I shot off and I went into other places all at the same time as my body was laying there. I visited the river of life, and I saw that everything on this earth is alive with a spirit, and it has a harmonic resonance that sings in the universe. And I stepped into the river and I became one with it. And I started hearing all these angelic voices singing, and I said, oh my God, that is the most beautiful music I've ever heard in my whole life. And kaboom, part of me went to the music of the spheres. And I saw that everything has a color, a tone, and that's how we're known in spirit, is by the music that we sing on earth.
Beautiful.
And I was so awestruck by the beauty of it all, that I was one with everything, and that I had a place not only on the earth but in the universe, and that my song was important. It was so overwhelming to be unconditionally loved and to see the beauty of me, and that how powerful I really was, and that each soul it wasn't just me, it was all of us. And that was such an important part, was to tell everyone, it doesn't matter how you leave, it doesn't matter what happens to you in this life, you are worthy and so important to the music and the song of the universe. I'm sorry I'm shaking, because that was so powerful, and I'm feeling it again, of course. So I thought, and before I could even think the thought, of course, the universe is creating whatever I'm thinking. Wherever I want to go, I go. Boom, I'm there. I'm like, that's angels singing. Boom, I'm with angels singing. And I'm like, oh my God. My breath was taken away. I didn't even have a breath. This is the true meaning of awestruck. When you're in the divine realm with the angels, and you're going, holy Christ in heaven. And now I understand the meaning of holy. It's not just a word, it's a feeling. It's a feeling within all of us that we are always and always connected to divine source at all times. But we forget because of the traumatic things that happen on earth. So I saw my energy on the table being filled up to a point of fullness. Kaboom! I reconnected with my higher self and all the information that I had always known and that I had ever known. In my times in the parallels right now, or what people call past lives, everything happens in the moment of now, which I found there because there was no time. It all happened at once. I saw the all of me, and I was like, oh my God, that's me? And I received and started what I call downloading all of the information. And it was just too much. It was like that movie, Lucy, when she's hooked up to the computer.
Oh, I didn't see it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Oh my God, it was just like that. And it happened in a flash, in all of it, all of my memories and the pieces of me that were important for me to remember now for this life. Only that came back to me. And I'm watching myself in a flash going, oh my God, I stepped into my book of knowledge. And it was overwhelming. It was, I call it cosmically orgasmic because it's so joyous in the fact of how important we each of us are. And I saw all the lives that were given to me, but I saw this one too. And I saw that everything happens for a reason. And even though people say that, it's true. That the universe, there are no coincidences. Everything really is as it should be, and that's part of trust. And even what was happening to me at that time was part of it. Everything is a part of it. Tomorrow when I wake up in the morning will be a part of it. Everything happens as it should be, but you must walk the path, and the path that you want it to choose, and go back and change your life and yourself. But the most important part I found out during my life review was that I had chosen the life that I so desperately wanted out of. And I was like, oh my God, I knew it. I did. but just to have it verified
Mm-hmm.
was beyond. And then I could take full responsibility. I knew, because as a child, I would look up to the sky and I would say, did I choose this? And if I did, why? I just wanted to know why. Why did I choose that trauma? Why did I choose that pain? Why would I choose that? And it was to help other people and to serve the highest good, because I did say use me. Before I came, I had just forgotten. So as I'm reviewing the lives and being amazed by the connectedness of everything, I saw that everything is connected. People try to put things in groups and categories, like different religions, different races, everything like that. And what I saw and what I remembered is that it all connects and they're all the truth in some way, shape, or form. There is no separation. All of those people had experiences that they wrote in their books of life, like you're supposed to do and I'm supposed to do. People can study the Bible for the whole of their life, but not actually live the Bible. And when Jesus, the Master Jesus, came, that's what his whole thing was.
Mm-hmm.
What would love do now? I'm showing you the way.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to walk your own steps. I cannot save you.
Mm-hmm. It goes back to something that we were talking about earlier off camera, was, because you've had your near-death experience, people feel like you have access to another realm that they don't have access to, and that you have the ability to heal them. And we were talking about, the fact that we all have that within us, whether we've crossed over this time or not, and that the real thing is to go within yourself and to find those answers within yourself, and is probably one of the most challenging things that we can do, but is the most rewarding thing you can do, is to go within yourself and find out what your truth is and live by that, and live from the heart in a loving way.
Yes. Now, so all of this is happening to me. I'm remembering all of this stuff, but how do I integrate it? All of the separate pieces of me that were visiting these other places, okay, at the same time, it was all happening at once. They all came back together as one. My energy was filled up from the healers. I was with the angel beings, and the music of the spheres is where we were singing. They were singing unconditional love throughout the universe and keeping it in tune. It was so beautiful. And what they said to me was, thank you. And they told me to tell everyone else when I do return, thank you for being on Earth at this amazing time. You're brave and courageous souls. Love is the answer. In all ways and always, remember, unconditional love is the answer. And then, boom, I was back in my body. And I woke up, I sat up, and I know that this is funny, but this is the very first thought I had. Okay, I'm ready to save this planet again.
I love that. Love that.
It said truth. And then I passed out.
That is
So
an amazing recount. Thank you, Susan, for that highly emotionally charged. The way that you were able to deliver that experience for us, those of us who are visuals, that was beautiful, perfect.
Oh, I don't even know. I don't know what I said, but I hope I expressed the amazingness of it all.
I don't know if there's a way that you could, but I think you did a great job, with that.
Yeah, you really can't. There are no words. There really aren't any words that, when people think that God is this guy in the sky. No, it's not. It's, I call it, it, everything, all of it. It's so encompassing and ongoing that there are no words. God kind of puts it in a box to me,
Yeah.
because it's so ever expanding, and consciousness and everything.
Well, you mentioned earlier about everything being alive, right? Everything having a spirit. And I
Everything.
heard somewhere that if you were to take everything that is alive, and that includes planets, stars, consciousness, air, rock,
Everything.
everything, thought, and put it all into one, that would be what God is. It's all of us that are alive, and not by definition, earth definition of alive, but anything that is. Anything that is.
What I asked my guides a couple of weeks ago, where did I go? People call it heaven, people call it paradise, because it is. It's all that is. That is the best word for it, or phrase for it, to me, because it's a tone. And my guides answered me, and when I heard the answer, I started crying, because it rang so true, like in a vibration of my heart. And they said it's the vibration of creation. And I was like, that's where I went. I went to the vibration.
Vibration meaning
I saw it.
the sound and light frequency of creation, right? Because you
Because
talked
we
about.
are energy beings, and once we leave our bodies, we do not die. We transform into our energy selves. So we're energy, we're pure energy that can create, become, you can do whatever you want. You can be he, she, it, that, and I had many different lives that were different, things, aliens, whatever you want to call it, because it's alien to us.
Right.
In
our limited, but I think that's expanding now. That's
right. It is.
Right.
We're coming a long way, and that's why I can even speak about this now. So before, you wanted to talk about before the reintegration.
Well, yeah, I had some questions. One of them, actually, we're on that topic, is if it's possible to describe the moment of leaving the body, what that feels like.
Yes. It's hard to express, but you go from this world we're living in, we're going into the spirit world. For me, anyways, in my experience, I'm not speaking for everyone, but as I was leaving the body, it was pretty fast. It came on very fast, like all the once, boom, I dropped, and my spirit went up, and I was in a void, but I could still see my body.
You
but
didn't
I didn't
feel like a popping out, or like a suction, or like a magnetized, or a
no, it was pretty, it wasn't popping, but it was fast. It was instantaneous. That's the only way I can,
So no physical sensation from the separation?
No.
Okay.
None. It was like, part of me was here, and then part of me was gone. And it was just like that. It's like, when people say to you that, enjoy all of your moments because it could be your last one. Well, it was my last moment, but I didn't know it. So like when people are taken surprise, or they're blown up, or however you die.
The very last second, you mean? Yeah.
It's instantaneous, and you go from living to
Not living.
transitioning and transforming into the spirit world. No one came for me. A lot of people say, they have, when they're dying slowly, people will come, guides will come for them. No one came for me. I just went up. I didn't hear any popping or anything like that. I just left. I heard my body hit the floor. My body
So
slumped.
when your body hit the floor, though, you were not conscious, but you could hear the body hit the floor?
Um,
Or was it a knowing?
yes, it was like a feeling. I felt my body hit the floor, and then boom, instantly I'm in spirit.
Mm,
All right, but you have to understand, my body was still viable.
right.
Okay, so that makes a big, huge difference. And
Mhm.
so I came back. So I'm having the experience of seeing my body hit the floor, kaplunk, like that. I kind of felt the body hit the floor, and then I had no more awareness of it.
Right. And that is another question actually that I have. And that is that when you felt yourself rising or going up, and I'm assuming that you're saying that there was a definite sensation of an upward motion, right?
Yeah, but really you're not, because, heaven is right here beside us.
Which is the confusing thing, because a lot of people use the word up, and I
Yeah,
genuinely feel that they feel that sensation of up, but I
yeah,
know it's right here next to us. Right.
right. It is right here next to us, but the sensation, and they say, rise to the sun, rise to God. It feels like you're rising, even though you're still in the same space.
Like an uplifting.
Yes. So then all of a sudden I paused, which I was even surprised that I could pause. The whole thing was a big surprise. And I paused to ask if everyone was going to be okay, because that was my main earthly concern
Right.
before transitioning and transforming. That was my
Answer to that?
I said, as I was transitioning and transforming from being human, who had concerns about the people that I was leaving behind, into spirit, where I knew everything was as it should be. So there's a big, huge, that's a learning curve in a second.
Like, whoa, I just got really smart.
Because you're being rebirthed into divinity, and it's just like being reborn. It is just like being reborn, and everybody's there to welcome you. You're home. And it's like, oh my God, it's just like it. It's your birthday again as you're dying. That's why I try to tell everyone. And this is one of the things that I did not get across before, is that what I saw when I was at home was that when I re-merged with my higher self, that was a part of me coming back to my soul. That's always my oversoul. That is always at home.
Yes.
So people wonder, why don't my loved ones miss me? Because you're there with them.
Mm-hmm.
You are there with them. And it's hard to tell people that, because they're like, there's no way. I'm like, yes, there's a way.
No, I forgot
I'm at me.
it. I just heard this analogy because, we really get this stuff when you kind of give it a metaphor to go with. And somebody gave the metaphor of, say you're standing in a circle and there's 12 or 13 other circles around you, and you're in the middle. Your higher self would be that one in the middle, and each of those other circles are the lives that you are currently participating in right now, and they're all connected to that center self, and it's all energy, and you're just fragmented into all those different lives.
Yes.
Yeah, it was good. I
Yes.
liked it. Hmm.
Okay, so that is, use that analogy, and that's what I've been trying to say. Fragments of myself went everywhere to
Yeah.
visit all these other places,
Mm.
but they were already places I had been before. I was remembering because the other parts of me, I got all their memories too.
Mhm.
So I'm reintegrating all of those facets of me. And what I saw was that the Susan who was on Earth was fragmented, and
Oh.
that
Mhm.
she had not gotten her memories back from her childhood.
Mhm.
Those pieces and parts of her that were missing, the 3-year-old, the 8-year-old, and the 12-year-old, that
Mm.
had blood so that she could keep surviving.
Mm.
And that was the whole reason that I had this experience, was to say, go back, reintegrate, get your other parts back.
Mhm.
It's
Have you done that yet?
okay. Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I could write books about that.
well,
But
that's,
that's a
that's that shadow work. That's what I'm doing out there with my hypnotherapy.
oh my God. I had 2 soul retrievals. Let me tell you, I am definitely a shaman, but I'm using my shaman abilities with what I'm doing with you, with my writing. Shamans work in many ways, like you. You're a shaman.
I've heard you're the third person to tell me that. Hmm.
Yes, you are. Um, you understand exactly what I'm saying, and you haven't died.
That I know of. I know there is a time in my life that I questioned when I was 5.
All right. And I would love to say something about that.
Sure.
Okay. When we talk about near death experiences, it doesn't matter how it happens. If you're near death, you are near death. Okay.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
All right. This is really important. This is part of my knowledge. And I have a really amazing friend. Her name is Becky. And she was a hospice worker for 40 years. And she stayed present. Her main job was to stay present during people's deaths.
Mm.
The vision she has, her connectiveness, and she goes, Susan, but I haven't had a near death experience. I said, my God, you had 40 years.
Because it's very, like I said, easy to say to another person like yourself, if I were to come to you and, oh, you've touched the golden bowl, or you have these powers now. But what we were talking about earlier is you already have all of that within yourself. But a lot of
Everyone.
people are still sleeping, and they couldn't even fathom that idea. Um,
True. That's true.
so
And you know what? Everyone's equal. And that's their divine soul plan. And we should honor that. We don't need to wake everybody up. If they want to stay asleep for
right,
2,000 years, up to them.
right,
This isn't for them.
right.
Okay. This, whoever's, one thing that I've learned is to walk in trust, which
Mm.
is not an easy thing to do. It's an everyday process, is that the people that see it should. The ones that, the ones that see it and hear it are the ones that should.
Right.
And that's part of the use me.
Mm-hmm.
You just use me. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that doesn't open the door for people, wanting to make me a celebrity because of it, though. And I have a big problem with that.
Right. See, putting you on a pedestal as a master of some kind. Right.
I'm the example. That's all that I am. Okay. I did ask the universe to use me for my life, and this is the life that I chose. And this is the results of all of those experiences and what it's taught me, so that I can show somebody else. But that's the only reason. It's not because I can save them or change them. That's your holy plan. I cannot become involved in it.
Right. Like I was saying, for me, the whole purpose of doing this, although it came to me without setting an intention, so the purpose came after the fact, but it's that I know how someone else's near death experience changed my perception, where I believe I contracted to have that experience wake me up. It was the catalyst that I asked for. And so I think it's important for us to do what we're being called to do, because obviously we're feeling that pulling and that call to do that. And so we are a catalyst for someone else. We're in that soul plan or that contract for that purpose.
Well, I can tell you this, we are walking each other home.
I love that. That might be the title of your interview.
So I write presently love notes to the universe, or from the universe. I write that. I channel them, you would say. I hear them when I wake up.
Oh, wow.
That's it. I just hear them and I write them down.
Hear them in your soul, right? Not in your ears.
I hear them in my mind's eye. I hear the words, and I have to grab a pen. People call it automatic writing. I just call it, I wake up and I hear it and I need to write it down.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I write it down and I get amazing soul wisdom from having my channels open since my NDE, because yes, you do get more of your abilities come back to you.
Right. That your natural ability. Yeah.
Right. That you've practiced over lifetimes or in different experiences, or other parts of you that know how to do that. Do you know what I mean? Yes. So you get those powers back.
Yeah.
And mystic poetry was one of mine, because I used to be a scribe.
Oh, wow.
Right. I used to be a scribe, and I wrote down the wisdom of a famous teacher during the times of Jesus.
And you still you've retained that.
Yes. And that part of me will come through and help me write, or send me messages of how I should write it. Or do you see what I mean? I'm being guided. I'm being guided at all times.
Yeah, but see, it's always there, but you're listening.
Oh, I can hear it.
Right.
It's like, right, I hear it. Whereas all of me had been closed off to me before, because I got my remembrance back. But I have to tell you, walking on the earth for 30 years with your remembrance is not an easy thing to do. Knowing all of this and not being able to speak it, or you'll be put into jail, because I knew that. You know, when I came back, I couldn't tell anyone because my children would have been taken away. You know, it just wouldn't have been good. Right. So look how much we've changed.
I mean, it's from what I hear, because I'm only 39, so I'm not sure what it was like, but I know from my own experience over the last 15 years, let's say, huge difference over the last 15 years.
Huge. So, and I knew that during my near-death experience that now this is going to become your near-death experience will actually become one of your biggest challenges, because now you kept asking, did I choose this? If so, why?
Here you go. Ask and it's answered.
You know that part, asking you shall receive? Be careful.
Right.
So there's an honor that goes with that, okay? You can't just go out and say this or that, this or that. You have to watch the words that you speak to people, because it's very, very important that you tell the truth as you actually saw it.
Yeah, and bringing that into some other realms, I think I've discussed with you that I get information from spirit at random. I can't choose when I get it, and I've had the experience of involuntarily telling someone information that I had, and I regret that, because the person wasn't ready to hear it. And I don't think it was my business to do that, You know
what? And that's what spirit teaches us, because, let's put it this way, Kristen, we are guides in training.
Yeah.
We are guides in training, but we're going to make mistakes. And, people don't understand that when you make that mistake, it has consequences for you. that are like, oh gosh, why did I ever do that? But even if it helped them, they still want to attack you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be very careful on, who you give the information to, or if they're ready to receive it. Because
Right.
if they're not, they can't hear you.
Right.
It's a waste of time.
Yeah, that is a difficult part of having a little bit. I don't know why I'm open. I don't know if I came in open or if it happened while I was here or if I contracted. Of course I did. But it is a difficult part of that, being open to information. And I have to learn. I would really love a class, if anybody's watching. I would love some teaching or guidance on how to turn it on and off, or how to know when to use it or not.
Right. That's all made in the moment. So I'll teach you right now. It's called trust,
Mm-hmm.
called absolute trust. And I've had spirit push me, push me, push me, even though I knew that I would suffer the consequences of me telling. But I did it because spirit pushed me and it did save someone's life. And that's all that mattered. And I received a message after that, because spirit can slap you in the head too. Um, get past yourself. Doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. You saved this person's life, and it doesn't matter why. None of it matters. It just matters that I did it.
Right. So
So,
basically trust and not to judge and just allow.
or yourself. Don't beat yourself up. If it happens, it does happen. What I call I'm a reflector. So I either reflect someone's great love, or I will actually reflect what they're hiding, and in their
Oh, yeah.
soul. I'll reflect whatever they're hiding, and they'll be angry at me, and it's very startling because just out of nowhere, I'm like, "What the heck?" I was being kind, I was being nice, and I'm just reflecting. So
Oh
you have
my gosh, yes.
Yeah, so you know what, Kristen, we're on the same path, and I'm going to tell you something. This last month, I have let all of that go, and I have had to delete and block people and say, I don't care what you think. Here's the deal. No, I'm not doing that. So,
And I think for empaths specifically, and I'm going to do a video about empaths because it really needs to be done, but it's really difficult for us to say no because we feel the rejection from the other person, that we just, when we are not there for, or we are not being receptive to, or we are putting up a boundary, we feel that other person's reaction to that, and that it's hard for us to feel that, because we don't want to be the source of that for anyone. But so we forget ourselves sometimes, or we put ourselves to the side to make other people feel better. And then we gotta get lost in that shuffle.
and that's boundaries.
Yeah.
And also, one thing that I've had to learn it since telling my near-death experience is to be self-protective,
Mm.
and also to really discern, really go through. Discerning is an art. Discern, I knew instantly with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's people that come into my life, and I'm like, uh-oh, I need to shut that door a little,
Yeah.
and I need to listen to that, and
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. You know what I'm saying? No, you don't get that part of me because something's telling me not to give it to you, basically.
Right. And I struggle with that one because I struggle between whether I am, and this is where the discernment comes in and how it's an art, like you're saying, whether I am being not emotionally intelligent,
Yes.
or am I being paranoid because of my past. So it's like, am I, using fear to block something, or am I being emotionally intelligent and understanding that this is not for me? So I get
Right.
really confused. There is a gray area there where I can get lost personally.
Absolutely. And that's what I talk about, integrating my experience and learning how to walk on this earth. And when the angels were saying and giving the message for me and anyone else that comes in contact with me on my journey, love is the answer. Always and always, love can also be strong. You know, love can say no.
Mm-hmm.
Love can love can do so many things. That love is everything.
Yeah.
It's unconditional. There's no conditions to love. But acting in jealousy, acting in envy, all of those things are choices.
Oh, for sure.
Unconditional love is unconditional. It has no conditions. I can say no to you because I see that you need to, that by saying yes, all I'm doing is enabling you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I mean?
I do.
So you have to make that intuitive call with each person. And it's no, it's not easy because I love everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I have the ability to love everyone,
Yeah.
but I don't fear anymore. The fear is gone, but in place of it is discernment, because I have been burned.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, I have been burned many times, you know, where I'm like, what? Turning around and saying, oh my God, you just wanted to talk to me so you could write a book using my words.
Right.
Right. And you know, that's this earth.
Yeah, and I think that is the thing. It's that we're looking at people from such an accepting, non-judgmental, loving place, and then to find out that in that place somebody took what we were doing and used it to take advantage of us. Um, I think obviously there's a lesson in that for us.
Yeah.
Right. So when you are experiencing this, oh God, there's so many questions. When you're experiencing this whole thing, is any of it dreamlike, or is it all like solid or perceptual? It's solid.
It's more real than this.
I keep hearing that. I don't know what that means
It
because I don't
means
know anything different.
that because you've gone and you've reintegrated in your to your true self. This is just a fragment of me.
Right.
So then I reintegrate into my true self and I see everything. I'm like, oh my God. Humans are so limited in their thinking because we're not being shown everything or we don't remember everything. But when you do, it's mind blowing. It is so cosmically orgasmic in the joy of it all, and seeing the beauty of how everything actually works in harmony at all times is supported by this knowing God force.
Do
You,
you like feel it all around you there?
oh yeah, all the time, all the time. I haven't lost that, you know, since I came back. And each more as each parts of my memory come back of the experience, which is ongoing because it takes years and years to reintegrate your experience. Not
Yeah.
you can't, your whole body would blow up with that
Yeah.
light. It would you wouldn't be able to handle it. So reintegrating it and getting those pieces back, I'm like, oh my God, that's why that happened, you know. And you start seeing the connectedness of it all. But being real, it's more real than this because you see through 40 different eyes, not just two.
Wow.
And you're like, oh my God, wait till I tell everyone.
And then you land back in your body and you're like, I can't tell anyone.
Exactly. You do. And you cannot wait. And I had to wait 30 years, 25 years. I had to wait. And I was like, and I would make mistakes and tell people a little bit. And they're like, what? my ex-husband, he said, I did tell him because we were very close and I was reintegrating my experience at that point and writing about it. I had just started, but not like I am now. Just little bits and pieces of what I knew then. And he says to me one day, hey, my son's best friend, who was a very famous person, he was an actor or something, blew up. He took off from the Keys this morning and his plane blew up and he died.
Whoa.
In the Keys. He had a show, a fishing show. And I can't remember his name because I'm not good with names. If I remember, I'll tell you. But a month later, his girlfriend, who was left behind, she went to a psychic. And, you know, my husband knew what I knew at that time. I kept telling him, you don't understand. We only have so much time here to be together, you know. But he didn't understand that. She went to a psychic and he came through and he said, oh my God, wait until you die.
You gotta see this shit.
Life was exciting.
That's awesome.
And he did. And he goes, you know what? I fixed you up. I gave you a house. I was able to give you everything you need to go forward. And you have all of my blessings because I'm telling you, I have way too much to do here.
Wow.
So you do not worry about me and go and live your life fully. Yeah, and they played the recording for me, and I said, what do you think I've been trying to tell you?
I knew all that. Been trying to tell you.
And they're like, you were right. I'm like, I know. But he did. He came through, you know, because we don't die. Mm-hmm. Our energy changes form. We go back to our true form. Yeah.
It's really difficult to look at it that way because we have been trained to believe that, you know, some of us, especially in religions, that when we die, this cloud of smoke comes out of us and just goes to a place called heaven to dissipate. You know, like
no. No, everything is a learning experience, but the reason that we came into the body on earth at this particular time was to be here for this amazing shift in the planet. So I haven't gotten to that part yet as of where we are now. So the planet is shifting. All of this happened to me 30 years ago or whenever. And it happened at that time for a higher purpose. So that I can be here now at a time when all the mud is coming to the surface. That's always been there. It's always been there, but now it's being exposed. And everything is shifting and people are opening their eyes and going, oh my God, we've been fooled.
Okay.
Yes, I know. I've known it for 30 years. I've been waiting to tell you.
And I'm sure you've experienced this where you kind of put out a feeler and then it gets thrown back at you and you're like, oh, okay, this person's not ready. And now you're watching that very same person go through this shift and going, oh my God, I can't believe we were fooled. And you're like, I've just been watching you the whole time. You know, waiting to see when you were going to find out this information. And I'm going through that a lot right now because my awakening happened in 2009 and then progressively since then. And so I've just, I used to share it with people and get into arguments with people. And then I was like, you know what, let me just do this on my own. Let me find this information myself and learn by myself. And now all of a sudden, the things that I was learning back then, they're starting to open up to. And I'm like, I better get my my telephone ready. I better get all my stuff in a row because they're going to be asking questions.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So you see in the timing of Earth's plan, you know, when this happened to me, I couldn't Google it. Mm-hmm. I couldn't get on Facebook and do a near-death experience group. I couldn't find any answers. And the reason that I went through it at the time I did was to learn how to integrate and heal myself so that when others went through it, I can say, well, have you tried this? This is what helped heal me on my path,
Mhm.
and showing them, you cannot give what you do not have. And that's a spiritual truth. And unless I've experienced the pain, I cannot understand it enough to walk into someone's shoes.
Right.
So I asked for all of that,
Mhm.
and they were gifts, but they didn't feel like gifts at the time.
No.
No. But I asked for it so that I could walk on this earth and hold someone else's hand
Right.
and say, yes, I did that.
I understand.
Been there and I've done that. I can walk in your shoes. And I'm not sure that there's anything I haven't experienced since, because my life has been full of that. And it will be if we're here to walk another person home. Do you know what I mean? If we're
I
here
do.
to do that and serve, then that is what service is to say, I know how you feel.
Yeah.
And really the depths of how you feel
Right.
is
How
huge.
can you possibly heal, because you're not doing the healing, but how can you possibly lend that hand and say, listen, I know the way, let me show you, unless you've been there, transmuted it, and come out the other side. And although, I have not done that in every situation in my life, I'm still working through a lot, that there have been so many things that I have actually come through that I thought, why me, God? When I thought God was a man in the sky, why me, God? Why are you doing this to me? And now I realize that
You
without that,
asked for
I,
it.
right,
You
exactly,
asked for it. There was no God saying, oh, I'm going to damn you with this or that. It's something that you asked for. And that was the biggest eye opener of my whole thing, was going, oh my God, I picked this. But I kept asking as a child. I mean, I used to shout, and I would go outside because I get frustrated with my parents and my family and them being so different from me, and go outside and say, did I choose this? And if so, why? And all of those answers have come since.
oh yeah, I still have like 4 questions about what you already went through. And what I love about the questions is that, and this is what I hear near death experiencers say, it's every time I talk about it, I remember something new. And
Yes.
so when I'm asking you questions, now I'm pulling out things that you maybe didn't even think of to say, or you may even have a revelation of something else that happened. So it's healing for you, or maybe even I'm getting it's part of the integration process for you, is this conversation. Yeah.
Oh, it is. It's a
Right.
big part of it because, you have to understand somebody that's kept her mouth shut for 30 years.
Yeah. I'm surprised you
Yeah.
don't have like a volumes of books at this point.
Um, I have volumes of journals that are sacred to me.
Right. Oh,
But at the same time, I had to, throw parts of it away, the angry parts, when I came back and I was going through the grief of coming back. There was
oh, we
grief
got to
in
talk
coming
about,
back.
I don't know if you want to talk about that, but that would be something.
Yeah, I can talk about it now because I've been able to integrate that grief, where I can see where people are now, and they're like, "Gosh, don't you just still want to go home?" Of course, I do have those moments because I miss home. Like, I miss my children. Same feeling, you
Yeah.
know. It's the same exact feeling. I get homesick, and but it doesn't last. It's transitory, and you can feel it and release it. There's a way, where I used to hang on to it and go, oh my God, I can't be here anymore. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I know
So I
exactly
know
what you
all
mean.
the stages of integrating the grief of coming back.
Right.
And that pertains to the earth right now. everything is alive, water, air, like you said. And all of those things are important because from a shamanic standpoint, we're all connected and we're all working together. So we all have to become in tune and tip the scales for mankind to wake up.
Right. And I wonder how much of that is actually aligning our vibration with a certain frequency so that we can manipulate, is probably the wrong word.
Actually, we can just change the channel. You don't necessarily, what they say, you don't fight the old,
You
you build.
integrate it.
All right. We don't focus on the problem, we focus on the solution. But I came back to turn my pain, which was my childhood, into my power. And that is a huge empathic thing. We are wounded healers.
Mm-hmm.
We are. And we're not chosen, we're sculpted over time.
I don't know if you can hear me right now. Can you hear me?
I hope you guys enjoyed that video as much as I loved making it. We put so much time into that video and we really had a great time making it. And Susan, thank you so much. I love you. I can't wait to speak to you again. As a matter of fact, Susan and I will be doing a follow-up interview, a part 2, and this will be more focused on the questions that were missed during the interview. So if you have any questions that I didn't ask or that you really just are dying to know the answer to, please put them in the comment section below, or you can email them to me at kristen@soultherapytct.com. And again, if you would love to talk to Susan or read some of her book, you can visit her at Susan Redwine at facebook.com. That's all for now, lovies. Until next time, bye.